Hello, everybody. I don't do these very often, so hopefully I'm well prepared to answer questions. Interestingly for me, though, the previous presenter, fantastic job, great organized information, great programs, and I might actually repeat some of the same information. We have some similarities in what we're doing, which is great to have two programs that are, hopefully doing good by these animals and getting them out there. So we are WAGS Pet Adoption. We are in Westminster, California. We've been open for 13 years. We are a small organization, and within the past 5 years, we've actually added. We originally were just one city: Westminster, Stanton, and Seal Beach. So that is where we do get most of our animals. We started because my wife owned the animal hospital in Westminster that we now are in that big building. And it was an offshoot because animals were going to a kill shelter. And we did not want to do that anymore. So we started it as, again, a very small shelter. Maybe 200, 300 animals came in a year. And now we are up to about 2,900 a year that are coming into the shelter. So it was more of the advocacy that we decided to do it, and we've grown it into being a fully active animal shelter, no kill, and this year, no kill, low kill, based on unfortunately some of the changes of population that keep coming through that we're trying to do our very best for. So as I said, we get our animals are from Westminster, Stanton, and Seal Beach. ACO brings them in, they're over-the-counter strays, and then owner relinquish. If anybody is recognizing, yes, I have a very strong accent. I am not California born and bred. I'm originally from Rhode Island. So everything I do related to whether it was Westminster Veterinary Group when we had the hospital or the animal shelter, I did not grow up doing animal shelter care. My background is working with people with disabilities and running group homes. So I have a teaching degree in special ed, and then I moved into doing a business degree to run the group homes efficiently. The tie-in for me is I am an advocate for, it was years ago, for people with disabilities who couldn't speak for themselves. And I feel as though those skills transferred very nicely into doing shelter care, as well as the previous speaker spoke about the future of animal shelters is really about going to foster care. It's about the amount of animals coming in for WAGS specifically has been so overwhelming, and we've been at overcapacity so much that we've really had to embrace a foster system. And in my previous life doing group home care, I had worked within the institutions and then group homes, and the continuum for people with disabilities would be move them out of institutional care and into the community, into their own apartments, into shared living settings. And I see the two paths running parallel, that in the same way that we're providing services, let's get them out of the large building, out of group care, and into individual care. And that's our foster care. And we talk about that at WAGS because as they come through, this is the system that we use graphically to how they end up in foster care. Last year, as I said, we were a tiny shelter, and now I don't consider us tiny anymore, maybe compared to the large ones that are in Texas and so forth. But we're big for our little area. We bring in about 3,000 animals a year, and that's been pretty consistent now for the last 3 years. What we have noticed in this past year, post-COVID, is we have custody length of stay that is lasting longer and longer for the animals that we are caring for. Partly because of capacity, partly because we are the no-kill in this area, so we tend to get more animals lost in our zip code. So that brings in more animals, a lot of large dogs as everybody's dealing with, and of course, many, many kittens, bottle babies. I think we are the only ones in the area that are actively doing bottle babies, TNR, and then kitten fostering, and doing a lot of kitten care. One of the things I talk about all the time as it relates to WAGS and how we draw in people is I use the fundamental system of the funnel to teach staff and any of our volunteers of how do we build out our advocacy. And it really does still fit this classic funnel system that we need people to be aware of us, to consider us. We turn them over into adopters, fosters, donators, and even if they're just going to be advocating for us in the community, even if they didn't adopt, but they know somebody that has, that loyalty becomes the biggest way for us to share our story all the time and continue to advocate. I'm a classic advocate for, as I said, anything that can't speak for itself. I want to be able to give it the best life and quality of life. And we teach that and support that. So we do have a WAGS Bottle Babies bunch. We know so many different organizations do. We started Oz in 2018. It's been very active, but it used to only have about 25 active fosters in 2018 and 19. We have now been able to grow the program through the awareness, getting people through that funnel to, I think we have 243 bottle baby, in general, cat fostering homes that have gone on this year. And sometimes that's a one and done, but for the year, it's nice to have that much activity that's going on. We also have a pause button for dogs, and I'll talk more about that. Our dog fostering does a lot of what the previous speaker said too. We have a program for dogs to go out for the day, the Doggy Day Explorer program. We ask that they do an application, and almost everybody is approved. They do have to be 18 years or older. They cannot bring their own dog to the Doggy Day Explorer. They can, for fostering, have dogs at home. We do meet and greets, and there's sometimes that we don't require that because we are familiar either with the foster parent or they're very confident and we're confident with the dog that it's going to be an easy match. But our Doggy Day Explorer does the same thing as other folks. We're out in outings. We give restaurant options. We have paths. We have parks that we give, what has worked well for dogs, for running paths. We send them with the backpacks with everything in it. We also have a requirement that includes taking pictures, videos, and maybe writing a short bio that they will then direct message to us, either one of two platforms. I'll talk about one of the platforms is called Band. If not, they can do it on our Instagram and direct message it, because we do use social media as our main marketing for getting the word out about everything. And we put Friday aside to be the Foster Friday stories, and those come from the foster families. So we share all the information that is coming through our DMs and our Band. Same thing for the dog fostering. We have that set up for 2 days to 2 weeks. We also have emergency weather fostering. So right now we have dogs that went out because of the severe rain in California, and they'll just do an overnight emergency, 1 to 2 nights, and they jump into that dog fostering program. And it is always great surprise to me how many people show up at the door and how many kennels we're packing up in backs of people's cars, food, Kong toys, and everything that the dog will need to be successful overnight, and hopefully build a bond so that we have a new fosterer in our program. We also have a hospice program, whether it's for a kitten, a cat, or an exotic animal. I'll talk about that next. We'll talk about exotics. We have that available that if anything requires more medical care, but specifically if we know its end of life is coming and we can keep it comfortable and give it a good quality of end of life, we will put it into our hospice program. And that has been super successful for about 4 dogs this year that were either severe heart murmur issues or cancer, and they got to live their lives on a couch, in a bed, in somebody's lap. And we sometimes tag that program internally or externally as our gracious goodbyes. And we make sure that anything that is going to go over the Rainbow Bridge is actually given the opportunity to have a gracious goodbye. So whether it's in the foster home for hospice, we teach them what we'd like to do. We include them in the gracious goodbye, and they get to make decisions of how much and how far they want to go for quality of life along with us. Obviously, we're always going to promote the most humane way to say goodbye and when to say goodbye. In-house as well, if we are doing quality of life, gracious goodbyes, our staff are taking part in that as well. And I tie it into the fostering because it started there, but then we expanded it internally as well. So every dog, every cat gets to have a dedicated person, a real positive way to cross that rainbow bridge. So that's our gracious goodbye. For our other volunteering and other program, we do have exotics. We happen to be, as I said, connected originally to a veterinary hospital. And now we've sold that hospital and it's moved across the street. But because we have doctors that were trained in exotic care, we have 4 of them that are on property, we're able to do cats, rabbits, cats aren't exotic, rabbits, guinea pigs, reptiles, chickens, and we get to place them in foster care as well. This year alone, we have, I think there's 7 exotics that are in different settings. I dropped this one in here right now just as a quick part of our volunteer program is kids reading to rabbits and cats and any other exotics. And that's what helped us build out our foster program for the exotics, because once we had the kids in the building wanting to read to exotic animals and sit there and enjoy a rabbit or a guinea pig, they started to want more access. So what we did for the foster program is we built out a classroom foster program. So we actively have rabbits, guinea pigs, and hamsters that are going into classrooms that have students that are supervised by their teachers in how to engage and care for the animals. We do all the teaching. We provide all the supplies. We will do Zoom meetings. And of course, everybody who has a foster pet always has access to come in for either medical appointments, support, information, new supplies, or anything that they would require. So we teach the teachers how to do the care. They're the ones that show the interest. They're the ones that actually complete the foster application to do the classroom pet. We do need them to take on the responsibility of the pet and take for us to also not have the liability as it leaves the property. They take that over. And then what ends up happening or has ended up happening very luckily, and it kind of, we hoped for this, is that most of the adopters for our exotic pet classroom program have either been a teacher or one of the kids. And within our fostering program for rabbits, guinea pigs, we have a lot of fun things that happen in the classroom that the kids do get to handle them, so they get socialized. And we had a senior class that had the guinea pigs last year. They all had pictures taken with the guinea pigs. That was their senior picture because they enjoyed taking care of it so much. It was part of their graduation. And I could not find the pictures. They were from last year and I couldn't get to them. But we have pictures of the seniors and guinea pigs, which was great. So one of the big things that I did want to talk about is what do we use for communication with our fosters? Because we currently have, I think in total, I don't know, there was about 400 fosters that we have. We were all over the place in how we communicate with them. We were text messaging, we got phone calls, we had Facebook groups, we had people with walk-ins, unscheduled walk-ins, walk-ins that were scheduled. So it was getting very chaotic for a small shelter. We only have 1 administrator that's on property. She has 2 assistant managers. They do multitasking like any other small shelter. There are technicians, they are our trainers. They're also part of the team for problem solving. So there's a lot that goes on with them. And then we have our staff. But we only have in total about 12 working kennel attendants that are running the program. We're 8,000 square feet building. And we are, I said, full capacity on a regular basis right now. I think at one point last year, we had 546 animals in our custody, but we were able to get 243 of them out in foster homes the majority of that time, which was great. So with all the chaos we have going on, which I think is a normal shelter chaos day, we decided to go out and look for some software that was free because we are small, we don't have a large budget. So we went and asked the community, what is a good software program for volunteers? And it was the teachers that came back to us and told us about Band. And that's the logo for it. It's free. And why I like it, their phrase line is where leaders communicate better. And I will tell you, it took away our chaos. What it does is that we're able to set up all the different smaller groups under one band category. So we have a WAGS band, and we have 4 small groups. One is the Bottle Baby, one is the Paws Button, one is the Classroom Juniors group, and one is General Volunteers. Each one of the groups that are in band get to have an ability to individually post, to have a photo album, to set up a calendar of events for people to sign up to come in to do any volunteering or activities that we need. It has attachments for PDFs, flowcharts, announcements, and so forth. And it has a way of reminding us that there are members that want to join. We can have a coordinator running this, and administrators jointly can be answering questions. And what happened for us is it took the chaos and we moved out of all of our other systems and moved everybody to channel into Band. And we do have to teach some people because they're not computer savvy. So they come in and we teach them how to use this app on property. It's part of the orientation to be a volunteer. And we teach them so that on 24 hours a day, and there are people like me who are up middle of the night and can answer a question for a kitten foster or a dog Paws Button foster, because they're posting and talking on a regular basis. And what we found was our senior volunteers immediately stepped up and answered questions, provided information, gave training, did videos, and provided support to our participants in every one of the band groups. It cut down on the amount of text messages we were getting. It cut down on the walk-ins that were unplanned. And it gave us a way to schedule all of our visits. For the band, I didn't put a post of it, but for the Bottle Baby Bunch band, we have a band event for vaccine days that they sign up for, a band event for even emergencies so that we know they're coming. We have a band event for spay and neuter days so they can sign up and plan their lives around the calendar. We have postings that we do every Friday to do current vaccines that are due. We do we capture any information that might be a problem for everybody and we're sharing it. We do information if we have free food available that's outside of the normal food we are presenting to or giving to foster families. Sometimes we have food that doesn't work for us and we put it on here for volunteers to come pick up any of the resources that get dropped off to us that we can't use. So it is the absolute best social way that we have coordinated all of our foster programs. It is free. It does take a little bit of learning to use it and to teach your members, but once you are in it, it is great. And we've learned when people stepped up and became kind of the leaders unofficially in our 4 bands that we have, we decided to go to a volunteer coordinator position. And we have now filled 3 of our 4 band position coordinators who have taken over being the leaders in this band. We still support them, but now we have a one singular voice that is coordinating all of the activities on each one of our band platforms, which is really great. I'm not looking at the chat, so I'll look at that in a moment and I'll answer any questions after. Other things that we do, we are out in the community. We do lots of t-shirts as well because we always want to brand our supporters. We make sure we use QR codes for everything. We have them in the building, on our website. We promote them any which way we can on any flyers that we have or PDFs that we're posting. We use merch as a gift as well as a low sales item for somebody who may just walk in and want to purchase hats, visors, any type of water bottles. I think we have put our brand, our logo on almost everything we possibly could so that we are getting excited for whether it's children or adults. A couple other things I wanted to add. We also did for our gracious goodbyes, because we know that fostering comes with lots of happy stories and some sad stories. So as much as providing supplies, and we do disinfectant supplies, and we do little breaks between care so that they can rest, we also do a gratitude post once a month on the first of the month, and that is to our employees and to our volunteers and to our foster families, so we can highlight them regularly. And we do little gratitude stones that we give them if they've lost an animal, so that not only do they get a branded item, but they get something that can be precious and something to hold on to when they've lost an animal. So we give them these beautiful rhythmic way of holding on to a stone to remember that pet and remember that we are thankful for them. And that became part of our gracious goodbyes and built out of the foster program, because we were sad to see people leave with an empty kennel, and we wanted them to leave with something that they know we are thinking of them. So the gracious gratitude stones now go out the door with them until they're ready to come back and foster for us. So it helps us stay connected during the gap. For the kids, I did want to say, by doing the kids program, we knew that one of the best marketing awareness things that we could do is actually go to children. Children promote us just by talking about us in excitement to their classmates, to the kids that they're sharing and doing different after school activities. And we learned this because we used to do, which we're putting those programs back in place now that we have coordinators to help us. We did birthday parties at WAGS for children, and they pay to do the birthday party. So instead of paying Chuck E. Cheese, they pay WAGS, and we would host the birthday party and have a dog lesson and a cat lesson as part of the birthday party entertainment. We did cookie making classes for the dogs, so they make biscuits and then be able to share them with the dogs on property and learn how we train dogs through our BET program. And then we also do, as I said, cat reading, rabbit reading, any guinea pigs, and social awareness, feline friends, and things like that to get the kids in. In the beginning, I normally do talk about, we set out for WAGS to not be an animal shelter, but because we were fortunate enough to take over our 8,000 square foot building that has a huge lobby that was set for veterinary clients, but now it's for us. We use it as our community center. We use it to bring people in and do kitten parties and to do, as I said, kid parties. And we've done yoga in that lobby. So we want to be the community's center where kids come and hang out and want to be there on a Saturday and Sunday morning on their days off. And that concept, all of my staff are well aware of it. They promote it. We engage with the children. We teach our volunteers, and everybody that is in on a Saturday is engaging 100% with anybody that's coming through those doors from 8 o'clock until 4:30 in the afternoon. And it's a lot of fun to be in that space because it is promoted as a center. A quick story, we needed to do a fundraiser in 2020, 2 days before COVID hit, and we had to lock the doors. We had keep the doors open, and that was our fundraiser. That was the name of it. And the kids were the huge supporter of Keep the Doors Open. They came in with their piggy banks and dropped them on the front counter as a part of the donations. And that's because we had built out that community with children so much. And that promoted us. And what happened was the city supporters saw us as the community center that we hope to be and still strive to be, that they filled up city council chambers with orange shirts, our logo shirts, with over 100 members speaking on our behalf of why we should get the RFP with an increased rate of pay to be able to keep the doors open in conjunction with the fundraiser. And that kept us open 2 days before COVID. And that's because we are a small shelter. We are very tight in our budget. I'm sure everybody knows it, knows that feeling. So we are constantly looking for ways to keep our doors open. And I put the funnel back here for that reason, because without coming back to this understanding of how we get people through the door, we would not right now have the total of those 4 coordinators that are working free and doing the work for us, 463 fostering parents that are active. Even if it's one day, one pet, one time, we know how to reach out to them now. And then we have 370 band members across our 4 platforms as well.